The beta for Gears of War E-Day is live right now. I've been playing a ton of this game. I played for 8 hours straight on day 1, and I pretty much never do that with any game these days. Now, the reason I'm making this video is because the co-op modes in E-Day are going to seem very familiar to fans of Helldivers 2, and I think this game has a lot to offer, so let's talk about it. The main thing I want to talk about is the co-op game modes. I'll talk more about the core gameplay later, but the game modes are the most fascinating thing to me. In the co-op menu, there are 4 modes: Onboarding, which is just a tutorial mode, Blitz, Siege, and Horde, which is a little confusing because the co-op menu is named Horde Siege. It should just say co-op the same way that PvP is called Versus, but I digress. Siege is pretty much the main game mode. This is the core co-op experience in E-Day. In Siege mode, you pick a class and spawn into the map with a primary objective to complete, and you also have optional secondary objectives that spawn along the way, and enemy encounters will also occur randomly during the mission. After completing your primary objective, you make your way to extraction, hold out for a few minutes, and hopefully extract with a full squad. If you play Helldivers 2, this is going to seem very familiar, because it is. The basic formula here is extremely similar to a standard mission in Helldivers 2 or Deep Rock Galactic, but there are some big additions to this formula in E-Day. Completing objectives can reward your squad with randomized perks, giving you different buffs every time you play, which encourages you to complete the side objectives because you never know what kind of buff you're gonna get, and it makes each run feel a bit different. You will collect currency from enemies called energy, and when you reach a supply cache, you can spend energy on gear, ammo, and upgrades for the perks that you get from objectives. All those randomized perks can be upgraded with the currency that you collect from killing enemies, which again, encourages you to complete objectives and kill enemies to become more powerful as the mission goes on, which can help you prepare for the primary objective or for the invasion event. Sometimes when you're playing, an invasion event will spawn near the center of the map. These come with a global difficulty modifier until completed, like scrambling your HUD or no perfect reloads, and give you a lot of rewards when you complete them. They are very difficult for a single squad to complete, and that is where the other squads come in. That's right, when you're doing your mission, there will be 2 other squads doing their own missions on the same map as you, which adds a whole new dynamic to this kind of game mode. There will be times when 2 squads are defending an area together, or another squad is passing by and decides to lend you a helping hand. When all 3 squads come together for the invasion event, it's incredible. It turns into a massive urban battle, with 12 players fighting against countless locust enemies. These moments feel like a real war, and you are handsomely rewarded for participating, which encourages these big battles to happen more often. The addition of other player squads to the mix makes every match feel different in some way. You'll have a lot of awesome spur-of-the-moment action with other players. If Helldivers 2 had something like this, I know a lot of people would love it. It reminds me of those old times playing Dark Souls when you'd have an anonymous player come and help you out, and it feels great. Imagine if Helldivers 2 had something like this, a much larger mission that has several primary objectives for several squads to enter and complete. I think that would be a slam dunk with the Helldivers 2 community. I know that a lot of people want bigger battles, and this would kind of give us a taste of that kind of experience. And it would also make playing with large groups feasible. Completing objectives will reward you with 2 things: experience to level up your class, and weapon parts for upgrading your weapons. Leveling up your class will unlock new weapons and gear, and allow you to modify your character with different perks, and there's a lot of room here to make different builds for your class, which is exactly what I like to see in a good co-op game. The weapon parts can be spent on weapon modifications and weapon modification slots, so you can customize your weapon how you want to, but you need to really earn it first, because weapon parts are not very easy to come by. I really like that the weapon modifications are impactful. Many of them will obviously make your weapon perform differently in some capacity, but many of them can give your weapon entirely new perks or traits, like attaching a bayonet to your Gnasher, or making it so that your Lancer refills your magazine when you get a chainsaw kill. It's impactful stuff, and you can really tell the difference between a weapon that is unmodded and a weapon that is customized and suited to your own playstyle. It's great. Progression and customization are off to a good start in E-Day, which is great because that's something that I've been begging for more of in Helldivers too. Now, if I were to say anything negative about this mode, there are some major issues with performance. The frame rate is often far below what I would expect from a Gears of War game, and there are some cases of stuttering and crashing. The server-side performance can also be very inconsistent. Hits can take a while to register, and sometimes it just feels laggy. I think this is due to the scale and complexity of the mode itself. There's a lot going on for the server and the client to handle, but this is a beta after all. There's still 2 months to go before launch, so hopefully this can all be fixed and ironed out. Now that I've talked about Siege mode and covered the basics of co-op in Gears of War E-Day, we can start talking about the other modes, which are basically variants of the Siege mode. Blitz is basically just Siege, but with a much shorter main objective, kind of like Blitz missions in Helldivers 2. Blitz still keeps all the main gameplay elements, including side objectives and invasions, but you can complete the main objective much faster, so it's good if you don't want to play a 40-minute match of Siege, but you still want the same kind of experience. I will note that the performance tended to be better in Blitz, even though there were the same amount of players and there were still a ton of enemies. I'm not sure why this is, but anyways, Blitz is just a quick variant of Siege mode, and it's pretty fun. Horde mode is literally the same thing as Siege mode, but the only primary objective that can spawn is a 10-round wave defense. It's meant to give something more like the classic Horde mode from the previous Gears of War games, and it does an alright job. This is not the same thing as classic Horde mode though, but if you want something closer to the original mode, this is as close as you're gonna get right now. I think I'll be spending more time in Siege and Blitz because I like to have variety, but I might boot this mode up if I'm looking for something a bit more classic. And it also is kind of easygoing to just defend an area for a while. Now let's talk about the core gameplay of E-Day. Technical issues aside, I have almost no complaints about the core gameplay so far. It feels like Gears of War, and it also feels new. I don't think I've played a game this much in a single day since Elden Ring came out. That is an insane level of praise I was not expecting to give this game. When Elden Ring came out, I was eating, sleeping, and playing Elden Ring, and that's all I did with my life. And for the first time in a long time, I did that with Gears of War E-Day. Now, most of the time, when a developer talks about quote-unquote modernizing their games or their franchises, they mean that they want to make it worse to appeal to a wider audience. But this doesn't feel like the case with E-Day. They are keeping true to the core of the franchise while making it feel better to play. I was kind of worried that the new mechanics like sprinting, sliding, climbing, and jumping would disrupt the identity of Gears of War, but the game still feels brutal, it still feels grounded, and there's weight behind every action. And I'm saying this not that long after playing the original trilogy of Gears of War, so I know what I'm talking about here. Shooting enemies is as satisfying as ever, especially when you're chaining together long shot kills. And it's always satisfying to just fucking rip someone in half with a Lancer. The sound design in this game is second to none. One thing that I love about this game compared to Helldivers 2, for example, is that Gears of War does not encourage you to run away from a fight. The game incentivizes you to fight or die. It doesn't tell you to go farm on the lowest difficulty for credits. you are always going to be fighting. Like 90% of the time you're playing this mode, you are locked in a hardcore fight to the death. This is a welcome change of pace from Helldivers 2, for example, when most of the time the game is encouraging you to avoid enemies, to loot samples, and go find bunkers, and, you know, complete the primary objective in like 10 seconds, usually. Like, yeah, sure, Gears of War is not as realistic as Helldivers 2, but it's damn fun. I also think that people will like the difficulty in the co-op modes. They are very difficult at first, and then you start to get used to it as you upgrade your classes and unlock better gear, and then you realize you've been playing on the easiest difficulty this entire time, and you still have a lot of progression left to go. The only things I would add to the game right now would be the meat shields from previous games, as well as grenade planting, and more executions. It would be great if every weapon had a unique execution, but sadly, most weapons don't. You just curb stomp somebody, which is very satisfying, but it would be nice to have a few more options. Now it's time to throw out everything I just said, because we're talking about versus, motherfucker. If you thought co-op was hard, then you haven't seen Gears PvP before. This is some classic, online, sweaty, multiplayer action. This is straight out of 2006. No progression, no classes, no loadouts, just you, your Nasher, and your team. E-Day brings the versus mode back to the original 4v4 style, and it is just as brutal as it was 20 years ago. If you're new to Gears of War, this is gonna be crushing. You're gonna get your ass kicked by the Gears of War diehards that have been playing this franchise for 20 years. But there's no better time to try it out than an open beta. There will be a lot of other players trying it out too, so you might be able to get a kill or two. Even with the addition of the new movement options, the combat still feels so much like it did back in the original games. People are still rolling around, doing a bit of wall bouncing and one-shotting each other with Nashers. Once you get some kills and you start kicking ass, this mode feels amazing, way better than most other mainstream shooters. There's a huge skill gap, but it doesn't feel like slip and slide Call of Duty bullshit. It's about using cover to your advantage and outplaying your opponent in creative ways. In the open beta, there are 2 maps and 2 modes, Team Deathmatch and Conquest, which is King of the Hill. On launch, there will be 6 maps and 4 modes, with more coming after launch for free, as expected, and they have me very excited with the promise of no Battle Pass. And it's not like I hate Battle Passes, but there are so many games that have been demanding my attention with FOMO tactics, and it will be great to have a game that just comes out, and you buy it, and you play it, and you come back when an update drops. This feels like a return to form for classic multiplayer gaming, and I hope it succeeds because this is the kind of thing that we need to see more of. Games that are unapologetic, act like they have some kind of identity, and that don't waste your time. So yeah, I'm really enjoying my time with Gears of War right now. This game is excellent so far, and this is just the beta. The big thing that we haven't gotten our hands on in the beta is of course the campaign. And the campaigns have always been a core part of these games. And for the first time since 2013, Gears of War will have a 4-player co-op campaign. And I'm not talking about 4 clones of Master Chief running around, I mean 4 different characters, like Gears of War 3, or Halo 3, or Halo 5. At least that game did something right. So on top of all the other 4-player content I just talked about, you're gonna have a full story mode to play with your friends, and even more content for co-op on launch and post-launch. There's gonna be more maps for both co-op and versus, more classes, maybe even more weapons. This is shaping up to be one of the best games of 2026. They just have to polish the game and iron out some issues to make sure that it can have a good launch, because so far, this game is a slam dunk aside from technical issues. But let's come back to the reason I made this video. This game will have something familiar and new for Helldivers 2 players to jump over and check out. The first weekend of the open beta is ending within the next day or 2, depending on when this video is out, and is only available to players that have pre-ordered the game or have Xbox Game Pass. The next beta weekend will be open for everyone, and I highly recommend that you go check it out. I realize that the timing of this is very bad because the new Helldivers 2 update is releasing on the same day, but trust me, this game is really good, and of course, trying a beta is free. You just gotta download the game and play it. Unless, of course, you're on PlayStation, in which case I'm sorry for you because they cancelled the version of E-Day that was going to be on PS5. No, this game is not a replacement for Helldivers 2, but it is something that will likely appeal to the same crowd for a number of reasons. It's got that gritty sci-fi military soldier feeling caked into it, and it's a 4-player co-op shooter, which I think are big reasons that we all flocked to Helldivers 2 to begin with. I want both of these games to coexist and make each other better through healthy competition. And if you don't want that, you're dumb. But what do you think about Gears of War E-Day? Are you excited for it? Have you played it? Are you unable to play it because you're on PlayStation? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to like this video if you enjoyed watching and subscribe for more videos on Helldivers 2 and maybe Gears of War. And of course, I want to thank all of my Hell Troopers. Swickety, Archangel Shipyards, Findas16, ODST Exotic, John Droll, Tinfoil Freak, Melek Paragon 9231, Jack of Nothingness, Thackum Dub, Kermite Official, SES Champion of Democracy, and Shaquille O'Neal 1. Thank you all for continuing to support my channel, it means a lot to me. And that is all I have for today. This is Grand Moff Togan of the SES Prophet of Dawn, signing off.